Hey guys, it's Sam, and welcome back to Likewise's third annual Podmas. It's officially the last week of Podmas. It's actually the week after the last week of Podmas, but I was horribly sick last week that I could not record. It would have been a terrible episode to listen to. I was like nasally stuffed, congested, all the things right before Christmas. Like, great, thanks. But luckily, everything has gone away pretty much, and I feel like I can record now. So, what's a week late? I'm excited to kick off my last mini of Podmas 2025, and I'm excited for Likewise to enter 2026. That is wild. Season 6 of Likewise, so wow, that is so weird to say. I would say, I don't, maybe a rebrand is in store, but we haven't worked on anything, so maybe not. Maybe not. We'll see. Anyways, for my mini-sode beverage of the day, I'm currently drinking a lime tangerine sparkling water from Winco, and it's delicious. Um, so yeah, let's just get right into it. Issa and I are both doing the same mini this week. We're both doing our year-end playlist. So it kind of goes along with Spotify Wrapped. And if you know us, you know our last episode of the year every year is always Likewise Wrapped, where her and I talk about our Spotify Wraps. We know it's a little late since Wrapped has been out for like a month now, but that's fine. We always do it at the end of the year because it's our way to wrap up the year and talk about some of our favorite moments and things. So, that is coming this weekend, and for now, Issa and I are going to walk you through our year in a playlist. This is so fun because since we took like 6 months off the podcast, there's so much of our life that we did not catch you up on. Even when we did our catch-up episodes, we did not cover everything. And so this is going to be a really fun way for us to recap what we did all year long and talk about the songs that match up with the vibes or what we were listening to at the time. Mine, as I was making mine, I realized it's really sad, and I'm sorry. Not that sad, but it's a little concerning, but I promise you, don't be that concerned. So let's rewind back to the beginning of the year and find out what my year in playlist is. So for January, when I was thinking about January, I was trying to remember what were some of the things I was doing, obviously. And something I did in January was Issa and I went to Readers of the Valley book convention in Arizona with HK Green, and we met in person, and we had a fun weekend at this convention. It was Issa and I's second book convention we'd ever been to. So it was fun to see a new environment. I also had never been to Arizona before, so that was fun. And for that trip, I knew that I had a playlist made for my like flight and just for the weekend. And so I went back and I wanted to pick a song from that playlist to figure out really what was I listening to at the time. I figured that kind of kicks off the year best. Because I know I kept listening to that playlist after the trip because I loved it so much. And I felt like the best pick was Messy by Lola Young. Also, because at this point, I was still dealing a lot with my random health issues, and I actually on this trip was just having a bunch of like allergic reactions to everything I was eating. And so I feel like it kind of, I don't know, it just suits the energy. I was just kind of over it at that point and hoping that things would get better. Also thinking about January, this was the month of Issa and I gearing up to release our co-authored novel. We released that in February, and so thinking about January, we were messy. We were messy. We were cleaning up all the last minute things. We were doing arcs. We were doing like trying to batch a bunch of content so that we were set for release. Like we were just trying to get all of our ducks in a row, and let me tell you, we were a little messy, but we got it all done. But I just remember like the the whole lead up of trying to make like those final edits after our proofreading and all that stuff. So, Messy by Lola Young is so the song for this period, and it was probably one of the most listened to songs off that Phoenix playlist I made. And also January is one of the worst months for snow in Nebraska, and so I just remember like I even thought I wasn't gonna be able to go on the trip because there was a snowstorm and then I could go and then yeah, it was chaos, but you know what? Honestly, it was a pretty good month even though I could not stand the winter and it made me so anxious. February, like I mentioned, was the month that Issa and I released our co-authored novel, Me for You. If you haven't read it yet or listened to us talk about it a bunch, I'll just give you a quick rundown. Me for You is book one in the 214 series. It is a young adult romance, kind of second chance. We kind of wanted to do a different spin on both second chance and brother's best friend and childhood friends, like really tell this story of this friend group that has all kinds of different people, and it just is a very realistic representation of like chaotic, messy young adults, like college age kids. Our main character actually was not in college in the book, but all her friends were, so that's also a big part of her story. But it follows Hallie and Cade and their long time, will they, won't they, push and pull love story, and it was so fun to write together over 2024 and then release it in 2025. And that is just like, that steals the cake for February. Nothing else really mattered at the time. It was just like, oh my gosh, our novel. Like, it was a huge deal. So, I wanted to pick a song off the Me For You playlist for February, and I decided to go with These Are the Days by Inhaler. We were so in our Inhaler era at the time as well. Um, and I just listened to that song so much. It's one of the like really upbeat, happy, feel-good songs off that playlist. And it was one of my favorite chapters in the book. In our book, our playlist corresponds to the chapter. So each chapter's name is a song that is in the playlist. So the order of the playlist is just the order of the chapters. They most of the time correspond to what's going on in the book, but we also, some of it's a little bit of a reach. But that one was so fun, and in the book that song's actually used, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I believe I'm right. That song is used for a chapter that is like the final tour date of Cade's band's tour um, is with that song, and it's just everyone is so happy that it's wrapping up and that they're home again, and you just get to see the whole friend group in action being so proud and happy for them. So yeah, super fun. And that is obviously what releasing the book felt like too. Like, yeah, these are the days. March. I was trying to remember March because obviously February was a huge month, and then I was like, I don't really remember anything from March. Winter is still kind of strong when you get into early March sometimes, so I was probably still down bad in my winter blues. But I I was just trying to think like what was the vibe in March? And I know like immediately after Me For You came out, I really was pivoting into trying to finish my first draft of my next novel that I'm writing myself. Um, I talked about it recently in another episode, but it's my kind of Nutcracker inspired ballet dancer, piano player, small town romance. And so I was working on that a lot and listening to that book playlist all the time. I listened to that one so much during these couple months that most of the songs are on my actual like top 100 on Spotify. And one thing I did actually, I tried to compare my Wrapped with some of those other things that pull your streaming data, and one of my things actually said that this was my top streamed song of the whole year, and it's probably really far down on my actual Spotify top 100, so I thought that was interesting. And part of why I picked to use this song, a song that I think of a lot from that book playlist is Peaches Etude by Phineas. And it's literally just like piano. But I listened to it so much. It's such a beautiful song. It is so expressive, and I could listen to it on repeat. And I just feel like it kind of matches the vibes of my life at the time. Like, I was still a little sick, still sad about winter, but I was locked in writing and working on my novel every day. And that song just feels like writing my book. I also, when I was doing this, went back to like my camera roll and Snapchat memories for all of these months, and I barely took pics this year, and so that made it really, really hard to work on this. For April, I actually had I think I had a spring playlist that I referenced to try to find like what was the vibe at that time. And for April, I feel like the song that kind of makes sense here is Sunset Boulevard by Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco. Like I was just all up on that song. I loved that release of her album, and it just felt like a good pick for April, where, I was still just working hard writing, the sun's starting to come out, like there's no more snow, like things are turning up, and yeah, not a lot was going on. It's also the end of like tax season, so then at that point, like Zeke and I are able to start spending a lot more time together and all of that kind of stuff. In April, I took a trip home for a week. I came home to Washington to spend my mom's spring break with her, so that also just felt super fun and like life was good. And, I just loved the changing of the seasons and it was a great time. For May, I picked Headphones On by Addison Rae. That's another song I was just listening to a lot at the time. And I was still trying to finish writing my book because I was so naive and I booked my edits for a time that I thought I would have it done by and I didn't. But I was still just writing, writing, writing. Like lock in, put my headphones on, try to be productive and get my stuff done. Nothing else matters. Like lock in. That was my mindset. And I didn't do a very good job at that, but I tried. But I just listened to the song so much. It's such a feel-good song, even though some of it's a little sad. But all the best songs are that way, and I feel like it just kind of matched the way I was feeling then, and it was just so, so great. June was an interesting month. I'm like trying to remember June. Well, these are kind of the months that really blend together. But if this tells you anything, when I was looking for songs for these months, I had made a playlist called Summer Unfortunately. And that's where I was putting all my summer songs. Like, I feel like most people are really happy in the summer. Me, I'm like, summer also sucks like winter. Like, I don't like the heat. I get really sick easily in the summer, and it was just not the vibe. June, I picked Carry Me Through by Maren Morris. I adore Maren Morris, and I loved her new album. And this song stood out to me so much because I believe this is the one where she says, like, feels like the worst year is always the one you're in. And that kind of just matched the way I was feeling, not to make this sad, but that was kind of around the time that I really started to feel like I wanted to move. Like I really wanted to move home specifically. That was the first time I like really felt so sure that that needed to be like how my year turned around. And so it's like the first time we really were like talking about the move or like a potential move or just my interest in a move. Um, and then yeah, obviously we know how that one ends. July, my birthday month, very fun month. I always love, getting to celebrate and all that stuff. My July song, I picked Sue Me by Audrey Hobart because Queen. Because Queen. I love Audrey Hobart and I loved this song. I was so here for it. And do you remember when this song came out, there was like all these scandals of people saying the song was so bad that they believed that all the influencers posting to it had to have been getting like paid under the table and like doing like these music ads like because they could not believe that they like liked the song. Like people were like, I just could not believe that Alex Earl would like this song. And I'm like, because it's fun. Do you hate fun? That was like a whole thing. I loved it. This just like makes me think of like driving around town or on my birthday and in the summer and just having a fun time and having plans with my friends and you know, I just like have vivid memories of listening to the song, blasting it, driving like to the bowling alley and um like just down to other areas of town for like fun things. So just so fun. I don't know if anything else really, really fun happened in July. I guess also around then was when we were obviously securing more details of our move because we had to know by the end of July if we were going to renew our lease or not. And so July was just very busy and it was such a just sue me vibe, like sue me, I want to move. Like That was my energy. So a lot was happening in July because I was busy pre-packing and just trying to get things planned for the move and organize all those details. And it took a long time. Lots of hard obstacles, hard things going on, but trying to stay optimistic. August, I picked two songs. First, I picked The Hudson by The Favors. Um, and then I also picked Are You Listening by Gemini, my bestie of my lifetime. Um, August was huge. August was when the actual moving happened. Everything was getting packed up. It was our last month of work, last month of living in Nebraska. Some of like the hardest days and nights, longest days and nights, and then our big drive. We actually ended up finishing it in August, driving over Labor Day weekend. And yeah, I feel like the Hudson's just a big, like it's a lot like landslide, like, and I know that's on purpose, but yeah, it's just like, whoa, like all I've ever known is gone. Like there's just I got nothing but you to lose. What a good song. I love Phineas and Ash, and that release was just so good and really matched the vibes of my entire life changing. And then Are You Listening? Gemini. Oh my gosh, I Gemma is one of a kind, such a great producer and friend. And I was so excited that she was putting out um a song finally. And I like knew of it for a long time. I remember like being played the very early version of this song back when I visited in June of 2024 in LA, and Gemma played it for me, and it was very raw at the time, and has changed a lot since then. But I was like waiting. I'm like, please, like I need your pop star era to come, and it has. So if you haven't listened, go listen. It's such a fun song. I felt like I needed a really fun song to balance out my sad song. So yeah, very fun. My big long move. September obviously was also my move. And so I felt like I had to go with My World by Conan Gray. Wishbone was one of my favorite albums to be released this year. It was so good. Um, and that was just the energy of like moving and like everything falling into place, even though it was so hard. It was just like, like it's my world. And in September, I started working at the dance studio and all this stuff. So it's just my vibe. And then also for September, honorable mention to Tears by Sabrina Carpenter. I just remember on our drive for our move, we were driving the day that the album came out, and so we decided to put it on. And I just have like this memory of us like driving into my hometown, like listening through the album, like back in the woods. And really, this was one of the songs I loved off first listen. And that was technically August when we were listening, but you know what? It can go into September because it's fun. For October, obviously, I was just kind of settling more into life here, just really trying to get into routine, working both my jobs, and all that good stuff. And also in October, Life of a Showgirl came out. And I know it didn't come out in the beginning of the month, but I felt like I had to pick a Life of a Showgirl song for October. So I'm gonna pick Wish List because that's one I listen to a lot. It also just feels right. Like I just did a big move with my partner and we're settling into our new apartment and it just fit the vibe. Like, wow, like, yeah, I just want you. Like, it was very, I don't know, it's just a good happy song for people in love. So wanted to pick that for October. In November, which like kind of end of October into November, we took a little trip, quick weekend trip to New Mexico. Um, and that was fun. And November was also just really busy with work and dance stuff and all kinds of things. Um, I'm picked Out of Body by Khalid. That's one of his newer releases. I really like that song. Haven't listened to it a lot, but I remember like that's around when I heard it and added it to my library, and it was just kind of at the moment. Around this time, I wasn't really listening to much besides Christmas music. On my flight, I listened to Callum Hood's album like a million times, so I also picked Sunsetter by Callum Hood. That's one of my favorites off his album, and I listened to it a lot all over that trip, so I felt like it was very fitting to be my November song. And then for December, I have two picks. And towards the end, I was like, I'm just gonna keep picking two songs. I figured I should also like pick things that actually match up to my top songs on Spotify. So both of these are actually my in my top five. They're not my top song or anything. My first one is Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. That was my number five song, which I was very surprised by, but also kind of not. And I feel like I just listened to the song a lot this year. It's one that I just really leaned on for my emotional support. And so much of my life changed this year, and it just felt like such a landslide year. And so I had to pick that. And then What Was That by Lorde, because like I look back on 2025 and like literally what was that? So I don't think I need to explain much, but what was that? Um, yeah, and I think that was my number two song. So yeah, that's my year in a playlist. I am so excited to talk about the rest of my Spotify Wrapped, my actual Spotify Wrapped with you all at the end of this week with Issa. And I'm also excited to hear what she picked for her year in playlist. I know ours are going to be completely different because our music taste year by year has just gotten further and further apart from each other. Not in a bad way, but just like I've very much stuck in my same like realm of music of just like pop, indie pop, all kinds of things. And then Issa has been very like strictly country over the last like year. So it's just funny to see how our stuff gets different over the years. So I'm excited to hear about her Wrapped and her year in playlist. And I hope mine wasn't too sad or boring. I just genuinely cannot remember a lot of this year. But I had some big, big life changes, but then also some really fun moments that were fun to share and think back on. So yes, I'm so ready to wrap up 2025 and head into 2026. Can't wait for a fresh new year and can't wait to see what comes. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you had a wonderful holiday and yeah, enjoy the last couple episodes of Podmas and we will see you in the new year. Bye.